Pleasant good morning to each and every one of you. I am Simon Claxton, President and founder of the Sapphire Miriam Foundation, a nonprofit organization incorporated in our beautiful Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. It's yet another bright and beautiful day here, and I thank God for life, health, and strength. Yet another day in the land of the living. Thank you all for joining us. I welcome each and every one of you from whichever part of the world that you're joining us today. I want to say thanks to our sponsors. Well, we have one sponsor on board thus far, which is the Unit Trust Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago, and the others will be following shortly. I want to thank a special sponsor, which is Tranquility Getaway in St. Lucia, for making my trip possible earlier on this year, which has allowed me to network with a lot of persons and meet our U.S. partners and also our St. Lucian partner, Euthalia. I thank all of our partners from all over the world, and I thank our directors. We have Cheryl Allen with us today, and obviously our Ricardo Mitchell, who may be a bit late today as he's in another engagement. Okay. I thank Aralia for being behind the scenes and supporting the foundation and myself. She's been, great support. So thank you each and every one of you. Welcome. So I'll just get straight into this session. We have two special guests actually with us today. Before we start, anyone wants to say a prayer? Anybody wants to volunteer? I think we should open with a prayer.
We thank and praise God as we come into this session. We thank you for our ears being open. We thank you for a receptive spirit that we will understand that which we hear and apply it to our life. Amen.
Thank you very much, Donna. Thank you for that. Right, guys, so we have two special guests with us today. Our first guest will be on with us for a few minutes, and she will introduce the topic. As you guys know, we're dealing with SHINE, which deals with mental health advocacy and mental well-being this year. And we're going to be talking about breaking the stigma first of all, because there is a stigma, especially in the Caribbean, about mental health and mental well-being issues, okay? So our first guest is Mrs. Candace Clark-Joefield. She is the mother of one of our gems here. She was in the field of mental health, so she'll give you a little intro on herself and just a brief presentation on the stigma. So Aralia, you can load the presentation. And then we'll have another gentleman who will be with us for the rest of the session. He is a natural health practitioner, and he'll be giving us some insights into our gut-brain connection, puberty, menopause, and balancing our hormones as women. Okay? You're in for a treat, guys. It's going to be sensational. So the presentation is coming up now, and then we'll have Candice. You can start to introduce yourself. Thank you very much for being with us.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Simone. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning,
It's so nice
Candace.
being with you all. Hey, hi, Amalia. Good morning. So
Hi,
as Simone
Candice.
was saying, hi. So I am Candace Clark-Joefield. I am affectionately known as Nurse Joefield. I hope at the end of the session, you guys can call me Auntie Candace, right? So I am a registered mental nurse. I have been a registered mental nurse for the past 16 years. I am also a registered nurse. So that basically means that I've been trained to work in mental health, aka St. Anne's and all the mental health clinics. But I'm also trained to work in a general setting of where I choose to stay in mental health, right? So I'm going to talk to you all about some of my favorite things today. One of those favorites are mental health. And we're going to share some information. And hopefully by the end of my few minutes, that you guys will have a whole other insight into mental health. Most times when we talk about mental health, we shy away from it. There's a saying where people fear what they do not know, right? So when I talk to people about mental health, I always say that mental health, you can think about it as being an umbrella, right? So you have mental health on top. So get that visual in your mind. So it's like an umbrella, and under the umbrella, you have a line, right? Going from left to right. So that's mental health at the top. And then underneath, let's say on the left-hand side, you have mental wellness. And on the right-hand side, you have mental illness, right? So it's mental health is the umbrella at the top, where we loosely talk about anything pertaining to the brain as mental health, even mental illness, right? So it's mental health is the umbrella, is the umbrella term. And then there's the line underneath the umbrella that goes from left to right, where you have mental wellness to the left and all the way down to the other. And on the right, you have mental illness. All right. So most people start off on that journey of mental wellness. All right. So, you're going through life, life is good, you're happy, you have good experiences. And then maybe one day you experience a loss, right? Maybe you would have had a parent who died, or maybe even a pet, because we're dealing with the younger of the adolescents today. They would have had a pet, or maybe what are some things that cause disappointment? Let's make it a little bit more interactive instead of Auntie Candice talking alone. Some things that cause great sadness in our everyday lives. What are some things like that? Hi, Aralia.
Let's say results from tests from school.
Right, results from tests. So it would be all right. So you had this great anticipation, and maybe you even studied really hard, and you put in all this effort, and then you didn't get the result that you wanted. All right. But if you don't have that ability to say, hey, you know what? Maybe next time I'll try harder. Maybe next time I'll get a result, right? You stay right there closer to mental wellness, right? Remember, it's on the line, right? You stay closer to the side of mental wellness. But right, I was going to say maybe you fall out with your best friend, that person you trust with all your business, and then they just bad talk you, and that can really be hurtful, right? So once we don't have those resources, which is like positive coping mechanisms, you find you're moving from the end of the line that is mental wellness, and you're going further away from mental wellness. You're not all the way down to mental illness, right? But you're further away from mental wellness. And so it is in life, all right? And what we want to do, especially with support systems like this, Simone, which this is why it's so important. We want to be able to build those positive coping mechanisms, positive coping strategies that will keep us closer to mental wellness and not going further down the line towards mental illness. All right. So when you're actually down to mental illness is when you actually have a diagnosed psychiatric condition like anxiety, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia. So what I have found with dealing with young people is that they use the terms very loosely. I have depression, I have anxiety, but only a psychiatric doctor can diagnose a psychiatric condition. All right. So sometimes too, we have to guard against Google doctor, right? So Google doctor is when you just put in something in a search engine and you search it up, and then you say, yeah, a depressed person, let's feel this way and let's feel this way. And then you start to own those feelings and you start to say, yeah, but I feel like depressed, yes? So these are some of the things that we need to guard against, all right? So we want to stay underneath the umbrella of mental health. So I tell people, so we all have mental health. We all have mental health. Some people have problems with mental illness. All right. So mental health is something that we need to take care of on a daily basis by getting enough rest, by eating nutritious food, exercise, having healthy communication, guarding against those things that we consume on social media, on the TV, on all the different, even in the music, right? So I don't know if we have this slide up as yet.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Lovely.
Right, so today we're going to talk a little bit. So now that we delve into the topic of mental health, and we know now that everyone has mental health and some people have mental illness, and that we have to work to keep ourselves on that line. So we call the line a continuum, right? So we need to do the work, we need to put in work to make sure that we keep ourselves on the continuum closer to mental wellness. Sometimes life happens, all right? It does not mean that we could just sweep it all underneath the rug, but what we want to aim at is developing those strategies that will help us to build resilience so that we stay closer to the left of the line, closer to mental wellness, and not heading down the road to mental illness. All right? I hope that was understandable. Anybody have any questions about that?
No, I think that was a great introduction, Candice. We're right on track because persons really need to understand that, the stigma, against that mental health, because we all have mental health, and it's either you're
We all have mental
healthy
health.
or you have, illness. And when you're moving,
away
from the health, it's time to just check yourself and get back to where you need to be,
Get
right?
back
So
down
that's
that
just
road,
as simple, yeah. It's as simple as that. So yeah, nothing to be
right?
ashamed of.
Right. And most times you find people have a lot of questions about mental health, but they don't, two things. They don't know where to get access the information, as well as they don't want anybody to stigmatize them. They don't want anybody to say, you didn't see she went by the mental health clinic, she mad boy. So this is what we want to talk about today, stigma, and just kind of breaking some of that stigma. It sounds a lot cliche, but once we break some of that stigma, we will be in a much better place mentally as a society, as a population, as human beings, right? So today we're going to talk about stigma, right? So I told you guys that talking about mental health is one of my most favorite things that I do, right? One of my other favorite things is talking to young people when I get the opportunity, all right? So I'll tell you guys why in a short bit, all right? So I want to introduce you all to this theory, all right? So this is what's a theorist. His name was Erik Erikson, all right? So he had a theory of psychosocial development. So psycho in terms of psychological, like your mind, how you think, how you act, how you feel, right? And social in terms of how you will relate, like with your environment and in relationships with people around you. So your environment could be your home, your school, any place that you would be, right? So he brought the two together and he had a theory of psychosocial development, all right? So in this theory, he was able to put each and every individual in a stage based on your age, all right? So you will see the baby. So he had a theory of psychosocial development for a baby, then go through the toddler, straight up the road to old age, all right? So each one of us on the Zoom today could find ourselves in the stage that Erik Erikson says that we are at, all right? So when I tell you guys, so talking to young people is some of my most favorite audience, right? It's one of my most favorite audience. I remember one time I went to St. Francois Girl College in Belmont, and I was talking to a Form 1 class, and I was telling them about how, I know how it is being, 1 minute you're feeling happy, and 1 minute you're feeling sad, and next minute you're just feeling angry with your parents. And it's like, but why angry about? What's going on with me? And then they watch like, miss, you have some superpowers. How you know that? Right? So some of it is based on this theory. So there are many different theories, all right? So, like if you think about a baby, you will know like a baby will start to talk. A baby will start to talk at a certain age. A baby will start to walk at, let's say, between 12 months and 15 months. So this theorist, he tells us where we are socially, where, hi Teresa, good morning. Where we are at socially in terms of how we think, how we feel, how we act in relation to our environment, all right? And if we go to the next slide, we will see that your age group, the adolescent age group, which is 13 to 19, all right? So what he did, he put tasks to each stage of development, all right? So for the baby, there is trust versus mistrust, all right? So it is, so the trust versus mistrust, it is like, so the task is to develop trust. All right. I think I spell identity wrong there. You guys forgive me. So I'm gonna explain the baby one, and then I'm gonna come to adolescent and see if we can get a little bit more clarity. All right. So like a baby, so remember a baby, a newborn baby. So a baby is from 0 to 2 years of age. So a baby, remember this baby, he have to depend on everyone because a baby cannot do anything for themselves. All right. So a baby has to depend on that primary caregiver, whether it's the mom or the dad or somebody else taking care of that baby, to feed them, change them, bathe them. If they're cold, make sure they're warm. If they're warm, make sure they're feeling cool. So based on how those needs are met, the baby, if it is met, like when I cry and the baby is hungry, they will develop trust. All right. So if it is when their diapers are wet and they cry and somebody comes and change them, they develop trust. So we have to remember the stage is trust versus mistrust, right? Versus if you have inconsistency in the caregiver, like when I cry, I just crying, and nobody coming to feed me, nobody coming to change my diaper, the baby will develop mistrust. Right? So it's a series of stages along the life cycle like that, where in each stage he gave tasks to be achieved. So it is either achieved successfully or unsuccessfully. So the first stage would be from 0 to 2 years. So if you look at the top of the diagram there, so it's like a step. It's like steps, right? So once you successfully maneuver that first stage, you go on to the other stages and the other stages, right? But if you have a breakdown, let's say for the same baby, right? Where when I cry, nobody came to see about me. The baby develops mistrust of the environment, and the baby also develops mistrust of caregivers. And so it goes on to being the more negative aspect of the roles in the particular stage. I want you guys to open up your mic and tell me if that is understandable or if you need me to give a better example. What do you guys think? How you find it was, Simone?
Yes, it was great. I totally understood. But I want persons to interact. So this is an interactive session. So I need your cameras on, everyone. Everyone, the cameras on. Brianna, Michelle, Faith, Aisha, everyone cameras on, and I want interaction.
All right, so let me just throw in this other part right here, right? So remember, I told you when I went to the school, the children were looking at me like, Miss, how you know that? How you know I'm going through that? So remember, our theme today is that you are not alone. All right. So just by virtue of developing and growing older, your body is changing, right? It's changing both physically, where you will start to have here under the armpits, you will develop breasts, you start to have your monthly cycle, right? So just as you have changes physically, socially, and with your mind, psychologically, you are developing as well. All right. So you start to wonder about the environment. So your stage as the baby would be trust versus mistrust. The adolescent stage where you all are in 13 to 19, it is, you guys forgive me for spelling identity wrong there, right? Identity versus role confusion, right? So at this stage now, you're starting to question, who am I? You want to find out who is, let me see some names to call here. That's not, I'm going to check into the participant. You want to find out who is Ayana? you start to question who is Aisha and Brianna. You start to have these questions, which is only natural, right? Because of development, not just physically, but also psychosocially. All right. So let's see. Let's see if I can see the age here. So for us, Simone, right? We will be in the stage of adulthood. All right. So where we will be in generativity versus stagnation, right? Where when we reflect on our lives, we want to know if we are achieving our purpose in life, if we're doing things meaningfully, or if we just feel stuck. Right? So each person, based on your age, you fit into the theory of psychosocial development. So this was one of my favorite theories. Since I had sat in nursing school and I came to know about it, I find it to be so fascinating, and it gives us some insight. So how it is applied for us clinically, like for me as a nurse, I must know the stage of development that my client is in, right? So now, recently, as of December last year, I have, after being away from the bedside for maybe 8 years, I am back in a hospital setting where so my clientele is mental health, right? So I see a lot of young people in my setting, all right? So I have to understand now that my clientele is there theory, culturally competent, responsive? There could be, right? So I have to know that my clientele is in that stage of trying to figure it out, basically figure out who they are, figure out what does the future lie in store for them, right? And just as they are in that stage of trying to figure out who they are, things can affect this, right? So imagine you're trying to figure out I don't know if this girl is really for real, like if she pretending to be nice, but I don't know if she really nice, and you're there and you're confiding in this person, but you also trying to figure out who you are. And then so even with this this need to try to find out who you are, this person betray your trust and they go to share some of your insecurities, right? So this leads us so everything ties in, right? On that road where we were talking about, most people start off at mental wellness, and then throughout the series of life, you have a lot of the theory being discussed. All right, so this theory being discussed is Erik Erikson theory of psychosocial development. All right, so you
I
already
understand that. Hi, good morning. This is Marjorie. What I'm asking
hi.
is it culturally competent? That's what I'm asking. And if it is, culturally competent, and if it's responsive, reflexive, what is it? Never reflective. So much as any theory has to be adapted to that local context. Yeah.
Right,
And have you
right.
found, because it sounds like you have, but have you
Yes,
found efficacy within the Caribbean context? Is it, you see what I'm saying? Tell me a little
yes, I
bit about
have.
that when you have a moment, please.
Yes, I have. Yes, I
Thank you,
have.
dear.
Because of the fact that, so I have to share with you guys that, remember I told you I've been away from the bedside for the past 8 years, all right? So the cases that I would have been accustomed to probably maybe 10 years ago was just strictly your bipolar, your schizophrenia, your depression. So now that I'm back at the bedside, I find a lot of personality disorders, right? So personality disorders is where people, they really had, so for they would have had shady beginnings, right? In terms of, so we can go back to this theory, trust versus mistrust. So most times when you do a history, you find that they would have had a lot of dysfunction in their early childhood, right? So you find when you have that, so you find that when you have that, so you find that you have a lot of unresolved conflict, right? So you find that you have, and most times people don't know that they are dealing with unresolved conflict, unresolved internal conflict. And so they would get into all different things, just trying to figure out, hey, why am I being this way? Why do I feel this way? Why don't I feel like if I'm loved, right? Why don't I feel like I belong anywhere, right? And it was because if we go back into your history, most times people don't recognize that what happens in childhood affects you in adulthood, right? I have this saying as well, that truth is uncomfortable, all right? So truth is uncomfortable. So people mostly prefer to live in these realities that they have created themselves to be comfortable, right? But I say if something is probably making you feel uncomfortable, you have two responses. You probably could have many other responses, right? But you could have a response where you can say, hey, I don't know why this topic makes me feel so uncomfortable. I wonder what it is, right? And you could take it from there, from a position of awareness, and you can go forward finding out maybe this happened and that happened, and this makes me feel that way. And it was because of this that happened. That's why I feel this way. Or you could have the other response, which is what most people do. And they be like, why am I talking about that? I don't hear nothing about that. Anger, right? Because truth is uncomfortable. I have to say too, right? So everything for me in the last couple of months has been pretty new. It is that I would have had to go and reread and look up the latest research and the latest data, right? One of the things that really, really, really hurts for a lack of a different word is that young people are pretty misunderstood, and in a Caribbean perspective, we think, we just say, man, he just playing the fool, yes, and definitely. So what happens in one stage affects the other stage either positively or negatively, all right? So a lot of times too, we find that, especially in the Caribbean aspect, parents think that, hey, I go to work, I work hard, they have a food over there, they have food in the fridge, they have clothes on the back, they have a roof over their head. Why else they want again, right? But when we think about in the complete circle of wellness, right? Wellness encompasses spirituality, emotions, psychological, mental, and not just physical, where we provide the basic needs, right? So we get into a lot of hot and heavy topics here, but remember I tell you that mental health is something that I talk about all the time. So it's easy for me to just talk about all the different things and my different experiences, all right? So Marjorie, I don't know if you can come back in and tell me if I would have answered the question.
You did, and you added some elements that were important. Thank you for that, because and when what you said at the end there, that's a whole other conversation about the parent
Yeah,
perspective, where we're like, dude, I'm providing basics, what I'm
yeah,
supposed to do, not understanding that we're mind, body, and spirit, or so that we're more complex than that. But who
yes,
taught us that? Where would we
yeah,
have come to that understanding? Also, we ourselves are broken. And so you
yes,
see what I'm saying? It's just a nice little complex of issues that are intersectional. And I'm excited about today's conversation because, girl, you're
yeah.
nailing it. Thank you.
So I consider myself a little older, right, in terms of my colleagues who work with me. So I always look at family interactions, right? So I see things what they don't see, right? So they'll be so totally, I feel stigmatized there, you guys. So I just wanted you guys to know that, all right? So, but for me, you know, like when I see families and families coming to visit, I could understand that, you know, nobody really wants for their child to be ill, especially mentally ill. But a lot of times, because truth is uncomfortable, we as parents, we are not understanding that what we do are directly affecting our children. And I know that we do have some parents on. So my adolescents, don't forget, don't feel like if I'm not talking about you guys, yeah, but I just really need it to be encompassing because I would really like it. I think that it's much better for people to know the information, to keep everyone closer on that, on the continuum, closer down to the side of mental wellness, rather than racing down the road to mental illness. All right. So a lot of times when children have 8 hours in school every single day, right? So that's 8 hours with teachers, 8 hours with friends, 8 hours with the school work, eight hours with somebody say something, 8 hours with somebody trying to make a bacchanal, right? So who do you all talk to? As parents, are we listening to our children when we get to them? Or is it just the mundane conversation? How was school today? It was good. You understand? And we just missing it. We just missing it until it's too late, right? And we moving further away from the wellness continuum and we going down to mental illness, right? So I get it because I am a mom of 4. I'm a wife. I am a nurse, right? I have, so being a parent of 4 means 4 different personalities, 4 different stages of life, 4 different sets of your time, 4 different sets of your attention, plus work, right? So it takes effort, but I believe that with the right conversations and with the right support groups, we're going to get it. We're going to get it right. Right? So Marjorie, is excellent for me to talk to you. I hope we get to talk sometime further. Right? So now we're going to jump back into our slide.
Yeah.
So we're looking at adolescents. I mean, looking at you guys questioning, who am I? Who can I be? Right? Let's go to the next slide. So today we want to talk about stigma, right? So I know one of the subjects that we do in the Caribbean here is not agri science, but it's general science, right? So, but which stigma it is that we're talking about today? Can we go to the next slide? Good. So is it stigma, like, you know, this part of the flower, we're doing parts of the flower in science, or is it stigma where all the fingers are pointed at someone, where all the fingers are pointed at you? Which one you guys think?
Ladies, we need to be interactive. Come on.
The one that
My
pointing
goodness.
the fingers
Good job. Good
at
job.
you.
Right? So we're here to talk about the stigma where the fingers are pointed at you. All right. So what kind of expression it is that the lady have on her face there? Is it one of happiness?
No,
What it looks like?
she's under stress. She's sad. She's crying.
Embarrassment.
Embarrassment. Good job. Good job. Right? So stigma does these things to people. All right. Overwhelmed. Good job. She looks overwhelmed. Right? So remember, we're talking in relation to you all. You all are trying to figure out in this stage of your psychosocial development, who are you? And then people trying to tell you all kind of different things. So let's look at a definition for stigma. Frustrated and traumatized. Very good. So stigma, by definition, is the perception that a certain attribute makes a person unacceptably different from others, leading to prejudice and discrimination against them. So, you know, like when you go to secondary school, so recently I had a young lady, she said that everyone told her about her nose, right? She didn't specify it, but she said that she felt that she was ugly and that especially something was wrong with her nose, all right? So I was reading her file before I actually saw her, right? So I was like, okay. And then when I saw her, a beautiful young lady, not a thing is wrong with her nose, right? So this is where I share with you all, where because of sometimes what people say, we tend to internalize it and we start to think on it and we start to wonder if it's true and we start to doubt ourselves and we start to doubt those things that we know not to be true about ourselves, right? Thereby, it creates stigma, right? So this attribute that we could be talking about, it could be anything. It could be somebody who wears a particular brand, or they do wear a particular brand, or maybe, okay, so the big thing right now is spray ground bags, right? For $500,000 for one, right? And it's that if I don't have a spray ground bag, or if that girl don't have a spray ground bag, she can't be in this clip, right? Or you must have a spray ground bag to go to school. So that starts to be in your head. So your parents have to find the $500,000,000 to buy the spray ground bag, right? So you find it start to be like you're on social outcast, right? And then it start to feel like, boy, you see me, boy, I don't know if I want to go to school now because they're going to make fun of me because I don't have that type of bag, right? And so we see that stigma is about perceptions and it's about what people say, what people do. Because remember the young lady in the slide before, right? Or the type of shoe or your hairstyle, right? Or if you just do your work in school or if you don't do your work. Girl, you studying here? Don't do no work. Don't do no work. We never come here to do no work in school. That time your parents buy all your books and the cover it and they send it to go to school and you study to go online with your friends. Right? So because I want to listen to my parents and I know my parents does work hard and my parents buy my books and they send me to school, I want to do my work. But my friends saying, don't do your work. So they started treat you as though you're outcast, right? So we're looking at the definition of stigma. Let's go to the next slide, please. Thank you so much. So what is mental health stigma? So mental health stigma is seeing someone as other based on what we know. Skin tone, color is a huge issue. You're so right, Marjorie. We have so many young people thinking that they need to bleach, right? And black is so beautiful. You know, white people just want to be black because they want melanin. And if you read upon melanin and see what that does for us, and we have that naturally in our skin, in our organs, in our insides, and we trying to get rid of it, right? So you guys have a little bit of homework there to look up melanin, MELANIN, right? Totally. So what is mental health stigma? So mental health stigma is seeing someone as other based on what we know about their mental health. Remember, we keep it in the caption of everybody going through this stage, just trying to figure out who I am. Yes. Right? And it involves judgment and shame towards mental health struggles, right? So we're talking about every single thing that you think about, everything that you feel and how you react is under this umbrella of mental health, all right? So when we're trying to figure it out and then we have this added pressure, it could lead to mental health stigma, all right? And sometimes we might also place that stigma on ourselves, you know, when we give ourselves that harsh self-talk, right? So my job here today is just basically to see how we could try and combat. We just want to kind of push back mental health stigma, and we really want to just stay on the continuum closer to mental wellness, and we just want to stay there. We don't want to know about no other end or anything. We just want to stay closer to mental wellness. All right? So how do we do that? Right? How do we combat that mental health stigma? Let's go to the next slide. Right? So 5 ways to reduce mental health stigma, right? So you listen and you learn from others about mental health issues. So not because not everybody will experience the same thing mentally, but you could listen to somebody said, you know, I had a real problem with anxiety, you know, and what caused my anxiety, and this is actually what I did about it, right? And then everything we listening to learn, all right, from others about mental health issues, right? We could also start a dialogue about mental health by sharing personal experiences and facts. So one time I went to the Tunapuna Secondary School to do a workshop for them as well. And I noticed that there were some students that had on a blue jersey, right? So I stopped one and I say, hi, how you going? I say, my name is Candace Clark-Joefield. You know, you always had to introduce yourself, right? Because people would think you're weird if you just started to talk to them just like that. I said, but I noticed that you have on this blue jersey as well as other students in the school, and I just wanted to know what that was about. So she was saying that they have this group where it's kind of like a big brother, big sister initiative. They didn't call it that, right? But I just put it into my own words, right? So at a particular time of the week or the month, they wear on the jerseys. So they signify that they are somebody, if you have a mental health crisis, that you could approach them in confidence, and you could have somebody to talk to, or you could have somebody to just be able to share that you're going through a hard time, right? And I find that was just that was such a great initiative, right? So of course they would know what training they would have gone through. It is a formal group, right? So meaning that the people involved are people who know to maintain privacy and confidentiality, as well as it's set up as a structure where I'm sure that they have a teacher in charge or a guidance officer or somebody, right? So because you might start talking to somebody and you might realize that, hey, this is much more than I could just talk to them one-on-one. So you must have somebody that you're able to refer them to. All right. So I am sure that there is some concerned teacher in each individual school that you all attend, right? So what you do, you can look up models of peer support groups, right? And you see how they start it up, right? But you can't do it with just students alone. You must have the principal or the vice principal or a dean or the guidance officer, somebody involved. But what you do is you write it down on paper so that when you go to them, it's a good idea and they say, well, this is something that we could use, right? So lots of schools right now, they need initiatives like this, all right? Where you're able to listen to somebody who would have gone through what you're going through, or who knows, who could identify, and you all could have a very good, strong peer support group, right? So that's what we're talking about. So you can start the dialogue about mental health, all right? The other tip is that we want to use people first, not people, use people first language to emphasize that a person is not a disorder, all right? And not because you probably would have seen a psychiatrist one time that means your whole future is just mental illness, all right? No, that is not true, right? Because some people have hard times, some people go through stuff, right? And you are not your disorder. All right? It does not mar you for the rest of your life. It was a period of time, and you're going to use that from a place of awareness to function and go forward into your future. All right? So you talk about mental health treatment like we would any other type of healthcare treatment, right? So I tell people all the time. So if somebody has very, very high blood pressure, or if they have diabetes, you go to the health center and you treat it. You take your medications, you keep away from your sugar, you keep away from your salt. In the very same way, we have to talk about mental health. If you know you're struggling mentally, you have something challenging that you're dealing with, you seek help for it, right? And it doesn't mean that you're weak when you need to seek mental health help. It actually means that you are strong, very strong too. All right? And the last step is that you show compassion to people who are struggling with mental health issues, including ourselves. So you go back to when you're in school and you know somebody, they're looking like if they're just not doing so good. You don't take the opportunity to loud them up. As you guys would say, and broadcast them and put them up and make it more difficult for them, right? So we show compassion, and you're not too young to understand that you can do that, because you guys, I know I've listened to some of the past sessions that you would have had, and you guys have excellent information coming out of this entire series of shine, right? So you guys are going to go forward and shine bright. All right. So let's see the next slide. All right, so that's just my references there. And one, just to leave you guys with fine health. The next slide. So this year, a couple of months ago, the Ministry of Health, right? So Marjorie is saying to use everyday language to talk about the more complex issues, all right? So just a few months ago, the Ministry of Health in Trinidad and Tobago, they would have launched a website called Teen Care, right? So it is advisable to discuss it with somebody you know that you could trust, right? You're not going to discuss it with somebody you know they're not going to hold your best interest at heart and they're going to broadcast your business, all right? But if you know that you have that trusted friend that you could talk to, you could share with them. But it's more advisable you probably talk with a teacher or a guidance counselor, your parents, right? So the Ministry of Health would have launched this website. So there were teens involved in creating this website, right? So it's a wellness resource for teens in Trinidad and Tobago. This is just a screenshot of it. So for the parents of the younger children, there is, hi, all right. So there is I don't know what to call it, right? But they do say if you want to go onto the site because it shares videos about deeper issues related to mental health, right? So parents on, please check it out. Check it out with your child, check it out before and see if it's something that you want them to have access to. But it is for teens. Other places that you can't find help is at your local health center. There are wellness clinics all over Trinidad and Tobago. And there are your community support groups. I don't know why church get cut off, but church is in here as well. And there are also online support groups, not Google Doctor, right? But just make sure that you know the places they have credible information that they're giving, that they're willing to dispense to you guys. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you all so much. I hope you all benefited at the teaching hospital. Right?
Thank
If
you.
there are any questions, Simone. So I leave my contact number with you guys there. So you all can totally reach out, send me a WhatsApp, or you can drop me an email. I promise I will check my email ever so often. Okay?
Thank you,
Thanks for the
Candace.
opportunity, Simone.
You're most welcome, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience with us, Candace. We really appreciate it. You know, this topic, we can go on for hours and hours. It is just amazing. And I'm so glad that, you know, the topic has started with, especially with Marjorie's interjection there. We have to have a session where we have the adults, the parents on board, and we go in to talk about the effects, you know, and the different stages of, you know, life, moving from, you know, childhood, baby, childhood, and adults and elderly, and how each stage impacts and affects the other. Because sometimes we don't even know that our behavior is impacting, you know, our children and each stage, and will have repercussions for time, you know, to come. Right. So, you know, we've grown up in a different era, and I'm so glad that the young ladies now have an opportunity to learn this type of information early in the game so that they can set themselves up for success. You know, because they won't always be teenagers. They'll be moving into adulthood. They'll be moving into relationships. They'll be moving into parenthood. So it's setting themselves up. So I'm really glad for the persons who have come on today and that they're able to take in this information. Now, this is a session, or these sessions are not to be taken lightly. Sometimes we take the opportunities we have in life for granted. Not everybody has access to this information.
Not everybody.
So take the opportunity while you can, you know, and sometimes I feel like I'm begging, forcing, pulling, pushing, trying to get information down people's throats, you know, and people have to want information for themselves, and they have to want knowledge and, you know, grow in wisdom, you know, and as you age, you realize that you're growing in wisdom based on your knowledge and your experiences. So I'm glad that this conversation has started. We have persons from all over the world hearing this. We have Latif, who is a social welfare supervisor in Ghana, in the Kumasi Metropolitan.
Wow.
Yes.
Hi.
Latif is on with us. So he's waving there. We have Hillary, who's one of his young ladies. She has been to university. She's a very ambitious young lady. So we have persons from all over. We have Donna in the USA. We have Yvette
Hi,
in
Donna.
St. Lucia. Yeah, we have Daisha. We have Grenada on board as well. Marjorie's in the US. Natalie in the Bahamas. So we have people from all over. Shadika in Guyana as well. So we have a really mixed, audience here with us, adults, and our teens as well. So we just take one question, Melanie, before we move into our featured speaker, Mr. Enrique Bustamante, for the next hour. He will be with us. So Melanie, go ahead.
So you guys totally reach out to me. I will talk to anybody who listens. Right? So if you're planning a workshop, just let me know. We are reading your message, Melanie. Yes, hi.
But we're not hearing you.
No, we're not hearing you.
All right, so you can text it in the chat. Is that question? Yeah, for Candace.
Right, so reach out. I will talk to anybody who listens. Just let me know in advance because I do work on a shift system. So I can know to kind of set aside my time. But I love workshops and I love talking to young people. I love talking to all population, but young people are my special type of people because they represent the future, right?
Yes.
And I love mental health, all things mental health. So definitely I do look forward to collaborating again in the future. Thanks so much, Simone.
Thank you, Candace, for joining us. And you have to get back to work, so thank you.
Yeah, I have to jump back off. Bye, everyone. Have a good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the program.
Thanks, Candace.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks so much. Great job. Thank you, Candice.
Thank you.
Bye.
Right. So, guys, this is going so, this is amazing. Right. So between 2022 and 2023, I had some serious challenges, health challenges, which led into mental health issues. And in 2024, I've started to see healing, on a different level. And here I am in 2025, still alive and well and getting better day by day. The next speaker, or featured speaker, Mr. Enrique Bustamante, is a young man very dear to my heart. He has been instrumental in my healing. And I just want to thank him, publicly for his support. He's always been there. I could always message him for any advice and information. And some of the information he shared with me, especially with regards to sound wave music and healing, has been instrumental in my healing, I can tell you. And these are people you would never forget. He's been there, during a very crucial stage of my life. So I would like to introduce Mr. Enrique Bustamante. He's an integrative health practitioner. He'll give us an idea about what he's into and talk about gut-brain connection and hormones and us balancing, ourselves as women and enjoying the best of life. Enrique?
Thank you very, very much for that firm, positive introduction. As well, I also want to thank Candice for bringing us a lot of information with regards to the women's mental health from a cultural and a traditional aspect. That was very, very useful. Now, today, we know that...
Enrique, I don't think we see you fully. Just, I don't know if it's my camera.
Oh, sorry. Can you see me a little better?
Yes.
Right. So today we want to touch on women health and support, right? And the theme is you are not alone. So my name is Enrique Bustamante, as you all would already know. I actually specialize in the field of naturopath medicine for approximately 6 years. I'm a mycology technician, which practically means that I specify in actually producing mushrooms and funguses behind closed doors that actually are sold across the world and through the Caribbean and whatnot. And I'm also an advocate of mental health because I know what it is like to have situations like anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, panic attacks, you name it, throughout my years and experiences of dealing with persons across the nation. This is something that really, really, truly does plague us, and it does affect us on a deeper level. So what I basically want to do for all of you all here today is put together 4 key notes, so four key topics that we will touch on that will subsequently help you all for the rest of your life. All right. So I'll tell you all a bit about myself. I'm a father. I'm a father of 2 sons. I enjoy swimming, football, adventurous activities, and whatnot. What I would also advise you all to do as I go along is, if you all feel the need to speak up, or if anything resonates with you, to feel free to get back to me and say, hey, what's going on here, this and that, all right? So with that being said, I'm not too much into the politics of medicine, traditional medicine per se, but I know the path and the journey towards getting proper, significant healing from a mental perspective. All right. So plenty of times you would see our mothers, our aunties, women in our life going through significant pain because of what is happening to their bodies on a mental level. But when we look at the mental level, we can't only see mental body alone. We have to see the mental body, and we have to see other bodies that actually relate to the mental body. So the mental body is actually interconnected to the physical body, all right? The physical body. My first point this morning is actually regards to gut-brain axis and nutrient deficiencies within the body that could potentially propagate these situations with regards to anxiety, mental health issues. The first part is, when your body is lacking specific nutrients, what potentially would happen is your body would not be able to assimilate and absorb the correct amount of gas or nutrients that the body, the vehicle, would naturally need, right? So what I want to go into is the B vitamins right off the bat. The B vitamins is subsequently very, very important. We know that B vitamins is important for neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters is feel-good chemicals that are produced within the brain, right? We have serotonin, we have dopamine, we have norepinephrine. These neurotransmitters regulate mood. Usually, persons who have not too much of these particular situations going on within the body, B vitamins, what would happen is they would actually experience some sort of mental situation, whether it be anxiety, depression, OCD, panic attacks, you name it. These things naturally come about because of lack of B vitamins within the diet. Now, we know that there are foods that persons could eat to improve B vitamins. Anybody have an idea of some of the foods that persons could eat to improve B vitamins?
Come on, guys. This is supposed to be interactive. I know meats.
Meats, fish, eggs,
yeah,
as well as legumes, which are peas, seeds, nuts, all these things, and leafy greens naturally build up the body, right? And actually are very, very bioavailable B vitamins. Another aspect I want to look at, besides B vitamins, that subsequently improve mental health is omega-3 fatty acids. So omega-3 fatty acids improve not only mental health, but it also helps with the brain membrane, the cellular brain membrane. So anytime you're using things like omega-3 fatty acids, selenium, anything with fish oil, subsequently what you're doing is you're removing inflammation within the brain compartment, so the brain can naturally function at an optimal level. Right? So we touched on B vitamins and we touched on omega-3 fatty acids with regards to the nutrient deficiencies in improving women's, well, not only women, but everybody's mental health. Another part I want to actually touch on is magnesium and zinc. Now, magnesium and zinc, especially in women, magnesium especially, is very, very important for numerous brain processes, as well as nerve growth factor and nerve healing. So if you're a person, you're feeling real antsy, you're actually drinking a lot of sugary foods, you're eating a lot of simple carbs, all these sort of things, naturally what would happen to your body is your body would actually have deficiencies because the body will actually reduce all these natural minerals like magnesium and zinc. So that's very, very detrimental to our overall health. Anytime you see these minerals start to be depleted. Lastly, with regards to the minerals that I want to speak about is anemia. Anemia. Plenty of women become anemic due to poor diet. So poor diet gives you a thing like anemia. What does anemia do? Anemia it causes a situation called irregular menstrual cycle. You actually would experience weakness, profuse bleeding. You would feel dizzy, you would feel giddy, you would feel a lot of mild symptomology depending on the severity of anemia in the body. All right. So any questions with regards to nutrient deficiencies? If you all do, please speak up.
Hi, Enrique. I have a question.
Right.
So with regard to the amount and like daily portions, could you advise us on that? How to go about, balancing it more or less?
Right. So perfect. Lovely question. So with regards to having a balanced, adequate meal, is you want to have substantially everything in a perfect portion, right? You want to have inside of there your nice leafy greens. You want to have some complex carbs, whether it be provisions, whether it be plantain, whatever the case may be. You want to have some legumes and you want to have some meat. Well, the meat may not have to be red meat. The preferred option is usually fish with scales, right?
Great. Thank you so much for that. Any other questions, guys? Now is your time.
Right. So having a balanced diet means that you want to have specifically everything in your plate, everything that is healthy and wholesome. So you would want your leafy green vegetables. And if anyone want any further advice in regards to how much should the proportions be with regards to spoonfuls and meat and whatnot, I advise you at the end of this discussion, I will give you a number so you all can actually reach out to me and ask these questions, all right? So what you all naturally want to do is put complex carbs inside this meal. Complex carbs comprise of provisions, plantain, and other carbs that naturally is very, very helpful for the energy within the body and also building up the blood count, hemoglobin levels and whatnot. You want to also have things like your green leafy vegetables. Your green leafy vegetables subsequently have a lot of antioxidants, and these antioxidants break down cellular damage, oxidative stress, inflammation, and a lot of these things, right? You want to have a bit of healthy fats inside of there, whether it comes from nuts, whether it comes from grains. Very, very important that, especially these days, that people leave out of their diet. And additionally, you also want to have a good protein source. You can get it from legumes. It's very, very recommended that you use peas and stuff in your everyday diet. But if you can't use that and you want to be a little more fancy, you can add a bit of fish, right? Fish with scales. Reason being is because it has a lesser amount of mercury attached to it. So moving forward now, we want to go into the gut microbiome. And we know significantly that the gut microbiome is actually very important with actually communicating to the brain, okay? When we consume processed foods, refined sugars, unhealthy fats, so unhealthy fats come from your little KFCs, your hydrogenated oils, all these sort of things. What naturally will do is the communication with your gut to your brain is not working optimally as it's supposed to. And that particular situation is called dysbiosis. Dysbiosis is quite prevalent in today's society. As a naturopath and a blood microscopist who have been working in this field for approximately 6 years. We see this a lot with younger persons, especially when it comes to eating a very crappy diet, where they would have a lot of simple carbs, rice, pasta, a lot of creams, a lot of snacks, a lot of sugary items, fast foods. and they don't detoxify their body, they don't drink significant amount of water, and that just put them at a disadvantage with regards to their mental health and other aspects of their health. All right. So yes,
Enrique, I just want to interject there. I'm so glad you brought that up because I think a lot of young people don't realize the connection between what they eat and how they feel and
correct.
setting themselves up, for the future. Because when you start like this now to eat and that dysbiosis in the gut takes place, it only
Right.
gets worse as you get older. It doesn't get any better unless you address it. And that's where
Correct.
the health complications comes in even more as we get older and starts to
Correct.
manifest in our 30s and 40s and 50s. Because we think
So
we're young and strong and we're okay now, but we're not.
So that is exactly what I would want to do with regards to propagating information to all 23 of you all today, is to give you all something that you all could hold on to. So when you reach home, you could actually use, if you do already know, with regards to how you could benefit yourself on mental health. And if you need any further advice with regards to nootropic, supplementation, all these things, I will have my number at the end of the discussion that you all could reach out to me. So yes, having dysbiosis is a serious, serious condition that affects the healthy gut microbiome within the body. It would cause things like memory loss, brain fog. Sometimes you go into an exam, you're writing the exam, in chemistry, the moles, in biology, anatomy parts, in maths, the formula, whatever the case may be. These are indicators that the gut should be addressed, right? And the gut should actually be addressed from a very, very young age. Because myself, I would have done what is known as blood microscopy. So there's a technique in natural medicine known as blood microscopy where you take capillary blood, and you actually put it under a microscope and you look at the morphology of the red blood cells. What you would see under the microscope with persons who have poor gut health is a lot of toxins, a lot of parasites. And what the doctors, the traditional doctors, the psychiatrists, the people at the higher tops, they do actually don't explain you is that these situations actually formulate and actually originate from the gut.
Yes.
All right, I see a few hands up.
Yes, there are a few hands up. So Aisha, you can go, and then Tarasai.
Good morning, Miss. Good morning, sir. I just had a quick question. You were speaking about certain foods and if they're good for you and if they have the nutrients and supplements needed for your body. But there's
Right.
one question I would like to ask that when I've asked, I've heard a lot of controversy for the question.
Right.
So, do you think that ice makes you gain weight? Because I know there's like a lot of online celebrities and stuff that do that, and personally, that's something that I do also. So I just wanted to know if that is any way of gaining weight.
Right. So that's a very, very good question, my dear. Ice significantly has some detrimental side effects to the human anatomy. First things first, it slows down your metabolism. So your metabolism and your digestive system actually have a specific body temperature. When you put ice inside of your body, naturally what you would find is that this temperature would decrease over extended period of time. Your metabolism and other digestive parts within your body, like your colon, your intestine, your stomach, etc., would slow down a bit. So you would actually become constipated if you're not drinking a lot of greens and water alongside that. With regards to eating ice, you also have to take into consideration that there is an underlying situation happening within the body. So plenty of the time when your body needs building, your blood needs building, you would actually go towards ice. You would see children picking up little dirt, putting stone in their mouth. You will see these things because they're lacking nutrient deficiency. So that would actually take me to my first point with regards to nutrient deficiency. So nutrient deficiency could happen in various different ways, and it could actually exacerbate itself in various different ways, all right?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Something that we take for granted, but it really has a root, cause to our health, ill health.
Correct.
Yeah, so we have Charasai. Your question?
Morning, sir, morning, miss. You said the circulation between your stomach and your brain. The types of
Correct.
food, does it affect your memory or not?
Yes. So, Ms. Joefield, the types of food, yes, it does affect your memory and it does affect your brain health. If you have a lot of inflammatory foods meaning fast foods, excessive amount of milks and dairy and these sort of things, naturally what would happen is that your gut will become inflamed and that inflammation would actually reach its way to the brain, right? So the connection would be very, very limited. So what would happen is that you would actually be writing, you would be doing things, you'll be going in front of the fridge, you'll be basically trying to recall situations, but your brain cannot catch it as fast as it should.
If that happens, how could you stop that from happening?
Right. So how could you stop that from happening? That is another good question. So that we going more into like the treatment basis now. So if you want to stop that from happening, you subsequently will have to actually not eat inflammatory foods or actually control it and balance it. You want to have significantly a good amount of antioxidants in your diet, whether it comes from fruits, vegetables, grains, and nuts, as I spoke about earlier. And you also want to have a little detox in your system, something to actually pull out toxins from your lymphatic system. So you have two systems that is actually clean out. Well, three systems. One of them is your digestive, which is actually excreted as feces. The other one is your excretory system, which is for your blood from your kidneys. It actually diffuses through your nephrons and gets rid of toxins. And the last but not least is the lymphatic. So the lymphatic system, it does not have a pump like the heart and whatnot. So that's why you need a lot of water within your diet and your everyday regime to actually keep your body healthy. So what we have been seeing significantly day after day, myself in general, when persons come to me, is that I'm getting a pounding headache, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. The first question I would ask that individual is, are they drinking enough water? No, I'm a water police. So you can't come by me and tell me you don't drink enough water. Because if you don't drink enough water, how could the blood and the body actually, function at its peak?
Morning, everyone.
Oh, hi.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I guess it was my headset then. So my question was going to be, how does dairy affect your diet? Because I know that when some people eat dairy, they would feel very drained, and that could, like, especially when you have studies to do, if I eat a lot of dairy or oily foods personally, I don't think I could concentrate, and I want to know why that does happen.
Right. So good question again. When you're eating a lot of dairy, you had to take into consideration now I don't want to get too much into the politics of traditional medicine and the politics as to how the government and a lot of persons in higher authorities naturally get their way to persons and their health and whatnot. But I would say that milk has a lot of additives inside of it that are naturally not very healthy for the human body. At the age of 7, we stop producing a very important enzyme within our gut that is used to actually digest milk. It is known as renin, right? So once we start producing that, naturally we don't need to be drinking milk. The milk that we get is basically emulsified fats and a lot of chemicals and additives placed inside of it. So when you start to drink that milk, what would happen to you is when your body absorb it and assimilate it and whatnot, your body will be actually taking in a lot of inflammation, and your body will actually start propagating a lot of inflammatory response. So you will start to feel, as you said, tired, you will feel sleepy, you will feel lethargic, you ain't gonna feel like doing anything. So that's why I actually tell persons to naturally move away from excessive milk drinks like the Milos, the Supplegen, the hot chocolates, and drink more teas, drink more teas. These teas, the natural teas, the herbal teas, it have beneficial aspects on the body and whatnot. We as Westerners on this side of the earth, we don't like to look at nothing with regards to antioxidants and how it could actually improve the human body. All right, but anytime you go anywhere across there, whether it be Africa, India, China, Russia, wherever the case may be, a lot of persons incorporate teas in the everyday diet, right? Because it helps significantly with the digestive system, cleans it out, and eliminates that, that craving.
Thank you. So we have Aisha.
Okay, so wait, before we move on, I have
Yeah.
another question.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
a lot of people would think that eating healthy means that you have to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. But when you add
Right.
those things into unhealthy things, like if you're making pasta and you add vegetables and fruits, people would say that's healthy when it's actually not, especially like Caribbean people, they tend to do that a lot. And foods like they fry most of the things as well and consider that healthy just because it contains
Correct. Correct.
vegetables.
So we as Caribbeaners, we very, very much guilty, especially on a Sunday, for overdoing things. You go anywhere across the world and you would realize that you don't need macaroni pie, you don't need potato salad, you don't need fried rice, you don't need all these carbs put into one plate to have one meal and to naturally feel full or to feel good about yourself, all right? From an appetite perspective. What I would say is in other places like Japan and stuff, it have something called like 80% rule. That 80% rule is to eat until you're 80% full and then stop. Don't go that extra 20% where you're feeling like your belly going and bust and you have to sit down for a good half an hour and pat your back and you're cool sweating and you can't move and take. My advice is eat until 80% and definitely see how that goes with you. It will save you a lot of time, it will save you a lot of health issues, and will actually put you on the right track where your body needs to go.
So, okay, understood.
Now, answering your question with regards to Trinidadians putting a lot of, not only Trinidadians, people in the Caribbean. Well, Trinidadians, to be honest with you, because when you go to places like Jamaica and stuff, Jamaicans, they don't eat as much carbs as how we do, right? We know this. They do eat carbs, but not as prevalent as how we do. So that is something that we as a culture is a cultural norm for us. In your home, you have to actually give good values and good methods and ways in order to actually improvise this situation.
Yes, understood. Again, so as you were saying about the 80-20% rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
People usually say that you have to eat this amount. Like, take it as, for example, my parents, they would give me a certain amount of food, and I
Right.
have to finish that amount of food, even though I'm already full, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is it true that that could cause acid reflux, which can burn the edge of your esophagus and cause cancer later down in life?
Now, I don't want to be too detrimental because it's always very, very important to listen to our parents with regards to what they're saying and what they're implying of us, because we don't know with regards to the food situation and all these things with regards to the cost of living, how it's skyrocketing. But yes, if you're overeating and you're overeating unhealthy foods, naturally what would happen is that you would actually be damaging, as you said, the lining, not only your esophagus, but you will also damage the lining in your stomach with the kind of foods that you're having. And you also be producing a lot of inflammation in the gut. So it have a lot of persons who get inflammatory bowel response. That is where they go into places and just so they have one on them. They want to let go one. They want to let go one. We see that quite a lot these days, where persons, they're not able to hold their feces because of the amount of inflammation from the diet. It not only reaches the upper half of the alimentary canal, the digestive system, like the esophagus and the stomach and whatnot, but also reach the lower half. It reaches the small and large intestine. It starts to affect other parts of the body. So yes, overeating and eating a little too excessively, even though your parents say it is right to do and not to waste the food, if your body cannot take anymore, yeah, you could put your body under a little stress.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much. Is that Aisha from Sarasai?
So I have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
So a friend of mine, she has an autoimmune disorder,
Beautiful.
and we just wanted to know like what kind of vitamins would she need to take, because I told her I was joining this, and like she told me to ask you. So I just want to know like what type of vitamins would you recommend for her to take?
Okay, perfect. So my first question would be is what type of autoimmune disorder? Because the autoimmune disorders can be affected in different ways. You have gravis, you have diabetes, you have lupus.
Lichen planners.
Oh, planners. All right. So that is an indicator with regards to the body system being highly inflammatory. So what you subsequently would have to do is actually focus on building up the immune system. So I could actually talk to her individually and actually direct her as to what she could do individually and what she could take supplement-wise to improve these particular functions. Anytime you have an autoimmune disease, it's because the immune system is now compromised and is attacking itself because of high levels of inflammatory response within the body. So that inflammatory response within the body will cause issues with regards to the skin. It will start to propagate itself, right? So whatever is happening inside of the body on a cellular level, you will start to see coming out on the skin on a wholesome level.
Yes, sir. So when you give the number, I'll take it and I'll let her speak to you.
No problem.
Thank you.
You're
Great.
welcome.
Wonderful information. I think it's applicable to a lot of people because a lot of autoimmune conditions are manifesting itself now, and people are taking the normal conventional medication, which is not addressing the root cause. And the root cause, obviously, is that toxicity within the body, which needs addressing in the stomach, right? So great. So we have Tarasai.
Okay, so I have 3 questions. I'm going back to 2 things you said just now.
Right.
Dairy. Isn't dairy good for your nails?
Is dairy
Good for your
dairy good
nails.
for your knees?
No, nails. It's nails, right?
Nails.
Tarasai?
Yeah. And I think
Like,
good for
Okay.
like
Okay.
calcium you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So when you're looking at dairy and you put dairy within your body, it's a misconception that dairy and milk is good to build bone and high in calcium and whatnot. If you want foods that are naturally high in calcium and iron, what you need to have is your green leafy vegetables. Don't forget that green food. Green food does build calcium, and that milk that we put within our body, because it's so inflammatory, what would happen is that it would actually cause the bones to leach out calcium, because calcium is the alkalizer within the body, right? So the bones are alkaline, and you have all this acid going inside the body. So what would happen to the body? The body is going to start pulling calcium from those bones. That's why we see young people. That's actually a metaphor. Young people, as they get younger, what happens to them is they start to get things like arthritis. They get problems with their bones, with their nails, with their hair and whatnot, right? So that's an indicator right there.
Right. Next question. For the Sunday lunch, person that cook the food?
Right.
Yeah. And it depends on the person that cook the food for the Sunday lunch. And for the 80% rule, how you know when you reach 80?
Right. So yeah, it depends. It depends on the person who actually preparing the lunch. What you need to do to tell them as an individual, as a family, you have to come as an agreement that all of us are focusing on a journey with regards to physical healing from a wholesome basis. So if you tell moms and granny and things to not cook with so much sugar, or not cook with so much ketchup, or not cook with so much additives, Maggi cube, MSG, all these sort of things, that is a major, major role that, you have to play. And with regards to the 80-20% rule, you as an individual will know subsequently when your body don't need enough food. Your body just give you a sign, hey, I'm feeling good there. I need no more.
Thank you so much for that, Enrique.
Mhm.
There was a question in the chat from Latif in Ghana, and he was asking, please, can timing of eating affect one's mental health? Like, for instance, eating like late, right?
Yes, 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 yes. So sleep sleep is actually the body reset mechanism, right? And it's actually the turn off button for your digestive system. Now, when you actually eat late, you're putting your body at a disadvantage because the energy it takes while you're sleeping to actually improve the tissues and to improve the hormones and to improve the neurotransmitters, the chemicals, the feel-good chemicals within the brain, all that energy is now focused on digesting food that you now eat 10, 11 in the night, whether it be fried chicken, pizza, or a little snack.
Yes, thank you for that. We have Marjorie in the US.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon. My question is about my mother.
Right,
She's elderly, she's 87, and recently
right,
she was hospitalized and they realized that the calcium she had extraordinary extraordinarily high levels of calcium, and apparently they would have leached out of her bones. She's since been complaining of pain in her bones. She's no longer hospitalized. My question is, and like I said, she's elderly, so of course she has other complex medical issues. Is there
right.
anything generally that we can have her either eat or do that would help not just the restoration process, but the sustainability of that restoration and then prevention of the, if you will, the same situation presenting itself again?
Right. So, my dear, now that question is very, very relatable, but I would have to go into great detail with yourself and with regards to mom. So, what I would do is I would leave the contact number with you so you could actually
Okay,
WhatsApp me or call me and we could actually speak about the situation on a deeper level.
sounds good. Thank you. All right.
All right.
Right, we have Dashel in Grenada. Dashel.
Mhm.
Good morning, Miss, and good morning, sir. I'd like
Good
to know
morning.
what is the preferred time? What is the suggested time to eat in the evening, like for dinner?
Right. So the suggested time to eat in the afternoon is I would say around 5, 6 p.m. for the latest. You don't want to reach past 8 o'clock, especially when you're going to sleep 9, 10 p.m., right?
Okay, then, thank you.
Great question, guys. All right, so Enrique, you can go ahead.
Right. Okay, so since we was on the gut microbiome and we understand what dysbiosis is and how it actually affects the body with regards to gut to brain connection, what I also want to touch on is neurotransmission production, right? So eating the correct amount of foods to produce the good feeling chemicals within the brain is very, very important. So an unhealthy gut could actually impair this function. So anytime you're eating healthy foods, naturally is you're not just focusing on your overall body, but you're focusing on your brain health, right? We also spoke about how inflammatory diet does the subsequently affect that connection, right? That access, that gut to brain access. So moving on now, I want to talk about blood sugar imbalances from the diet, right? So we spoke about the the gut microbiome, but we didn't speak about the blood sugar imbalances. Now, the foods that we consume with regards to carbohydrates, the simple carbohydrates, actually are broken down within the body as glucose, right? The final product is glucose. That's unhealthy sugars. These unhealthy sugars naturally cause the body to actually be in overdrive. You will find your nerves, the impulses, all these things are overstimulated on a deeper level. Additionally, also the sugary drinks, things like I see they're producing a new drink called Fruitopia. Fruitopia has so much sugar inside of it. They also have a Minute Maid, a mango Minute Maid. When I look at the back of that mango Minute Maid, I see that Minute Maid have more sugar than a Coca-Cola. So that's an indicator that these juices and these sodas and all these things naturally cause some sort of blood sugar imbalance. And this blood sugar imbalance could naturally cause issues within the body because of the inflammatory response it causes, right? So the inflammatory response will bring about things like anxiety, depression, anytime you're having too much sugar within your diet. Additionally, when you're having a lot of sugar within your diet, as a blood microscopist like myself, who has been doing live dry blood analysis for approximately 6 years, what we see is that the oxidative stress within your body. So oxidative stress, I know a lot of you all don't know what is oxidative stress, but oxidative stress is a blood test, a dry blood test, which shows holes within your blood, right? So persons who actually consume a lot of sugars, consume a lot of unhealthy carbs, consume a lot of unhealthy foods, naturally have holes in their dry blood. And these holes are indicators that the blood is actually broken down on a cellular level, right? And that is definitely not a good indicator. That is where I come into place and I actually help individuals to mend back that and to fix that situation and improve their overall health. All right, so there are things that we could take to improve our gut health. They are known as psychobiotics. Any of you all ever heard about psychobiotics before? Right. So psychobiotics is good bacteria, right? Good bacteria that must be placed within the gut. Good bacteria will help the brain connection significantly. All right. So some of the good bacteria that we look at as a naturopath is something called bifidobacterium. Bifidobacterium. If you ever look at a probiotic and a prebiotic and you see, okay. If you ever look at a probiotic and a prebiotic and you see bifidobacterium, bet your bottom dollar that subsequently is going to help your mental health, right? Another but probiotic or prebiotic that potentially will help your mental health, especially with regards to natural medicine, is known as lactobacillus, right? Lactobacillus. These two digestive enzymes help to break down and actually propagate proper mental health. So we spoke about mineral deficiencies, we spoke about gut-to-brain axis, we spoke about high blood sugar levels, and now we're speaking about the mental health with regards to how we could improve it through nootropics. Nootropics is supplementation basically based to improve these functions. So as I said, the gut health is very important for the brain health, the mental health. So lactobacillus, bifidobacterium. All right. Additionally, we also want to look at a few of what is known as adaptogens. Adaptogens is practically stuff that you put within your body that would actually help to reduce stress hormone. So we know that stress hormone does increase things like anxiety, depression. You know, when you're under stress, your exam, you had to go to school, you had to go to a party for the first time, whatever the case may be, you get all butterflies in your belly, you feel anxious. What these adaptogens naturally do, it helps to limit that amount of stress hormone within your body, right? So that stress hormone could be cortisol, it could be another stress hormone. That stress hormone needs to be limited. So what we know is some powerful adaptogens. One of them is known as cordyceps, which is what I actually focus on making. is a specific mushroom that helps significantly with hormonal health, as well as brain health, energy, vitality, stamina, and the list goes on. We also look at things like ashwagandha and reishi mushroom. Ashwagandha is something I also make too that helps significantly with your overall stress hormones, energy levels, sleep, something known as brain growth factor and nerve growth factor. So NGF is very, very important, the nerve growth factor. So your brain actually produces nerve growth factor to actually increase something known as neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity would improve things like your memory function, would improve like your cognitive abilities, and all these things subsequently. Any questions? Right. So the bottom line is you need to be careful with regards to managing your gut. You have to focus on the root cause of the situation. We already seen with regards to Miss Candice how we could look at this situation from a cultural perspective and even a traditional perspective. But focusing on the root cause actually gets to the nitty-gritty of the situation. By focusing on the root cause, you will reduce stress and you can also stabilize this delicate system of communicating between the brain to gut and obviously promote better mental health. All right, so what I would want you all to take away from this is to actually eat mindfully and not to eat emotionally. So I would repeat, eat mindfully and not to eat emotionally. So plenty of the times, we have a friend, the friend tell us something we don't like, our mother tell us something we're not really in full agreement with, we get vexed. We want to drink a Coca-Cola, we want to eat a Bigfoot, whatever the case may be. What you need to do is, if you're having these things in excessive, or you're actually you're consuming these foods excessively, you need to be mindful of that. You need to be mindful of your overall health, and you need to be mindful for others with regards to the foods that you're putting in your system, because subsequently these things would actually cause issues in the long run. All right? All right. So moving on now. I want to also focus, since we actually dealt with the gut-brain and we focus on nutrient deficiencies, I want to focus more on a chemical perspective as to how could fitness and exercise improve that mental health function. And I'm sure a lot of you all do little sports and keep active in school and at home as well. Am I wrong?
No,
Come
for
on,
me.
ladies, you all exercise.
I
Do you all
exercise a lot.
exercise? You all play netball? You just run, track and field?
All right, there's a tennis player. She coaches tennis as well.
Wow.
Yes, I'm very active.
I love tennis. So what I want to speak about here is the chemical boost that happens when your body is exercising and how it impacts mental health. So we want to get into endorphins release. Y'all ever had a good workout, and after that workout you just feel a sense of relaxation, the world just slow down and everything feeling like it running in proper balance and homeostasis? You ever experienced that before? Well, that experience that you would have experienced is something known as an endorphin release. And an endorphin release is basically where the brain is producing these neurotransmitters to actually help the mood elevate and to actually decrease pain within the body, whether it be from an emotional perspective or a physical perspective, right? So this leads to immediate well-being, an immediate feeling of gratitude and whatnot. So that's why exercise is quite important with regards to keeping things in check. All right, so exercise not only produces endorphins, but it also reduces something known as stress hormone.
Right, guys, what are your thoughts thus far?
Definitely valuable information.
Yes, it's very informative.
Yeah, guys, don't take this, information for granted. Especially when it comes to the
Yes,
type
that's
of foods you
right.
need to be eating, like dairy, the oils that you consume. The younger that you know these things, the better. Yeah. All
Right,
right. So back to Enrique.
right. Sorry about that, everyone. So basically, what I was saying is the endorphin release and the stress hormone reduction that you get from exercise. Hello?
It's okay. Go ahead.
Right. So we know that 80% of neurotransmitters within the body come from our gut, right? And exercise actually improves those feel-good chemicals from our gut. So subsequently, if you're working out, if you're playing netball, if you're playing tennis, if you're doing these things, you're already at an advantage with regards to the average person, because the average person don't really do these sort of things. And these things actually improve what is known as neurotransmitter regulation. So we spoke about serotonin, that's the feel-good chemical within the brain. We spoke about other aspects like dopamine, which is a reward system and whatnot. All right. So it also helps significantly with reducing symptoms associated with depression and anxiety. Anytime you're keeping your body active, what you would notice is that your body would actually feel a decrease in all that mental situation that you're going through, right? So that's a very, very healthy coping mechanism that persons can naturally use to improve that function. Not only that, but when you exercise, you're also looking at improved sleep and you're looking at better confidence. So you go out, you wear a dress, and immediately you get a lot of eyes on you. All them fellas want to know, hey, who's that girl there, boy? She real nice, boy. That is the kind of response as an individual and as a person that we look forward to, right? So that's some of the lifestyle and social benefits that needs to be taken into consideration. So the improved sleep, you wake up feeling regenerated, you're going outside, you're glowing, you're eating correct, you have your nutrients on the pack, and empowerment too as well. Remember, not only for yourself, but just like how this group would have this group propagates the information that it gives and whatnot, it empowers a lot of other women and young women across the nation and across the world, which is very important because we need a strong support system, especially as women, because women are usually in society, they usually taken advantage of, they usually put in a specific, a specific little bracket and thing. So by women going through these empowerment and empowering others, they can naturally, break any cultural norms. All right. And I think in Trinidad, we getting to break these cultural norms slowly but surely. I'm seeing it happen. All right. So it's very important for women to actually exercise daily because it will complement their overall life and mental health. Now, I want to touch on another aspect. And this aspect is what Simone and I would have went into great detail with when she would have seen me a while ago. And this is known as targeting mental states. So before I start this, I just want to tell you all that I'm a firm believer in Jesus Christ, and I strongly believe in Jesus Christ. And this over here has nothing to do with no religious backgrounds or no other situations involved, right? So the mental states can target our mental function and our mental health. I am a strong, strong believer and a maker of over 15 years of binaural beats and frequencies. Everything around us is controlled by energy. Energy. And there's a lot of persons I could quote, but I would leave you all to quote them. You could go and look it up and do your own research with regards to how to, improve your your energy body with regards to your mental health. I see it, Miss Marjorie, have a question?
Thank you. I'm going to toggle back a little bit to the exercise part.
Right.
For me, unique situation, barrier to exercise is when I exert myself too much. I end up with
Mm-hmm.
this feeling of catching, and I don't know how else to describe it. in my throat, and like I can't catch my breath. And it's odd. It's almost like a knot as opposed to um pulsating or anything like that. So what's the workaround for something like that?
Right. So anytime you're exercising and you're seeing underlying situations happening in the body with regards to the throat, the neck, around that area, that is an indicator that you would actually have to take further testing and further procedures so we can actually have an idea as to what is happening. But if you're feeling that pulsating happening over there, it could be a high possibility that your cerebrovascular health, circulation to your brain hemisphere is a little weak. All right.
Okay. Hey, at least it's a starting point, isn't it? All right,
Yes.
cool.
So
Yeah.
as I said, Marjorie, I know you have a lot of questions, and I am very willing to answer each and every one of them. So at the end, you will be getting a contact. So we will go through these things, right?
Much appreciated.
All right, no problem. All right, so back to targeting mental states. The first frequency and brainwave frequency. So we know brainwave frequency is measured in what is known as hertz, right? Hz. So there's different frequencies that we could listen to actually improve our entire body. But today we will only focus on our mental health, confidence, and emotional well-being. The first frequency is known as delta waves. Delta waves. Now, delta waves is something I've been using for over 15 years. It is significantly important to get deep restorative sleep. So what these frequencies do when you play it, it actually helps the body to naturally go into that state, right? That frequency range. And it have a lot of health benefits. So anytime you're putting on delta waves, subsequently, what you're looking for is deep sleep with regards to relaxing the body and getting proper restorative. So restorative means the tissues being adhered to, the brain function is being improved, all these things, right? So delta waves, that is what you're looking for. With regards to theta waves is where the body goes into a more deep, profound sleep. I don't know if you all ever heard about REM sleep, but REM sleep is different from NREM sleep. So it's called rapid eye movement and non-rapid eye movement. Usually after a period, depending on the individual in the night, what subsequently would happen is that the eyes will actually start to move plenty. And that's an indicator that they're entering REM sleep. So theta waves naturally help you go into REM sleep. Get about a lot of people who sleeping, but they're not sleeping. If you understand what I'm saying, they're sleeping, but they're not sleeping. They're not sleeping properly. They're not going to deeper states of sleep. The brain, the tissues are not being adhered to. The overall body is not being restored, right? So theta waves actually helps for deep meditation. It helps for REM sleep. It helps for a person to become more creative, and it helps to reduce anxiety. All right, so anxiety is very important when it comes to theta waves, right? Anxiety and stress reduction, you usually want to use lower frequency beats, which is like theta waves as well as alpha waves, which we commented just now, are usually associated with a deep relaxed state. Delta, as we spoke about before, is for deep restorative sleep, while the theta and the alpha waves help significantly with anxiety and creativity and improving a little more the REM sleep, all right? So we're moving on to alpha waves now. Alpha waves is usually about 8 hertz, all right? And those 8 hertz, what it naturally does, it actually helps you to focus, to become reflective, and to become nostalgic. So a lot of persons would use these alpha waves to actually go into a chamber of reflection where they actually look at what is happening within their body. So they will be able to reduce stress, they will be able to actually improve their moods, and they will actually be be able to actually decrease the overall anxiety. All right. So it's alpha waves. Remember, alpha waves have a lot to do with reflective thoughts. So anytime you had a very impactful day and you want to actually go through specific things that would have happened throughout the day, you want to actually bring forward these alpha waves. So these alpha waves would replace some of these things that will naturally be happening, right? Then we have what is known as beta waves. Beta waves is about 14 hertz. 14 hertz is very good for alertness and concentration. So this is more into the educational aspect we're getting into. Active thinking, critical thinking. Anytime you want to flourish with regards to the educational system and what it has to offer, because remember the educational system, it doesn't teach us to think critically or to think outside the box. It teaches us how to think and how to follow rules, orders, and how to, adhere to societal norms. So this beta wave help you to actually become more mentally aware, concentrate on things you need to concentrate on, and actually improve your active thinking. And these are just waves. We're not even talking about supplementation or exercise or nutrients or anything like that. And this is very, very, very important. As I said, a lot of persons would have seen significant improvement with using these waves. I even treat persons with HIV with frequential waves, and they would have seen indicators where their viral load went right down. So persons with high blood pressure, blood sugar, arthritis, Lynch planners, herpes, you name it. These are things that naturally help reduce these symptomologies, right? Right. So last but not least, with regards to the waves, is the gamma waves. The gamma waves is very, very important. And the gamma waves is usually 30 to 100 hertz. And this wave actually helps with processing high levels of information and cognition. So if you're a person who actually deals with heavy machinery, you're driving trucks, you're dealing with aircrafts, boats, anything along that level, gamma waves is something you will definitely need because your cognition, your eyesight, your active thinking, your alertness, all these things need to be quite balanced, I would say. All right. So these are some of the waves that you could potentially use to improve that mental health. All right. So it was a lot of information with regards to the different waves. Now, if you all have any question on these waves, feel free to ask away.
So can you please repeat the different types of waves?
Right. So the different.
But what we'll do,
Thank you,
Enrique, I think.
I was off for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, if we'll get it like written out so we can send it to them because it'll be a lot to go through. So
Right.
we'll work on that, right, Enrique? So that we can get the list
Correct.
of and the hertz, like if it's 432, 528, stuff like that. So that they can
Right.
actually go into and investigate it for themselves. So we'll send it out to you, ladies, okay? Via the chat.
Right. So with that being said, these waves, they have different types of waves, right? The delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. These were the waves that were described here. I know that we crossed in time, so I know I have to wrap up in a little bit.
Yeah,
So
that's all right. Go ahead. I think Melanie has a question after.
All right, Melanie, you could go ahead and ask the question.
Okay, so REM sleep, do we have to get that every night? And is it like the peak of your sleep at night?
Right. So healthy and mentally healthy individuals get REM sleep every single night. Usually when your body is not having that form of sleep, that is an indicator that there's an underlying situation going on.
Okay.
And it could be emotional, it could be physical, it could be from any perspective. So that's why it's very important. At the end, if you have any further questions or any inquiries, I will leave my number so you all could reach out to me, right?
Sure. Because I just asked because for a long time, whenever I fall asleep, I I don't usually know if I'm actually asleep because it feels like if I'm awake, but if I'm conscious, but my body is asleep in a sense.
Right. So Melanie, that is a good observation. Um, Unfortunately, that will take us a little deeper into these other aspects with regards to transcendence and all these other things. But yes, when you're experiencing these sort of things in your body from a sleep level and you're feeling like your body is actively awake and such, that's an indicator that your body needs to be in a more relaxed state. Your body needs to be in a more relaxed state from a physical perspective, right?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. So you go ahead, Enrique.
Right. So what I also want to add with regards to putting all these nutritional and biological and all these things at disposal for everybody to listen to. I also want to tell everyone, all females, that you're not alone and your struggle is a shared experience. Plenty of the times, as Caribbean women, they want to be strong, independent, they want to be admirable. But as Candace was speaking before, these situations usually come with a downside. If we have a little situation with regards to our mental health, we feel like we have to hide it. We can't tell people about it. But I am here to tell you that personally speaking, it is more better if you tell the people what is happening that if you keep it to yourself and you put it in, you keep it secret for the rest of your life. Because if people don't know what is happening with you, they don't know how to address the situation and they don't know how to actually move around it in that social aspect. All right. So that is a very impactful point. Your courage breaks the silence, not only for yourself, but for everyone. I also wanted to touch a bit on menopause, especially the transitional phase known as perimenopause and how it significantly impacts women mental health, right? So this is primarily due to dramatic fluctuations and decline in estrogen and progesterone which in the body. And that has a major effect on the brain's health and brain chemistry and mood regulation. Any question?
No,
So usually these hormonal changes and shifts can actually exacerbate and bring about health issues, mood changes, anxiety, depression, difficulty concentrating, brain fog, all these things. And women who actually going through perimenopause and experiencing these things, and they would have gotten a little relief from time to time, they actually face a situation where if they don't focus on it from a natural root cause, the occurrence actually comes back and back and back. And we see a lot of women after the age of 40 developing what is known as brain fog, which is a higher risk for things like vascular dementia, poor blood flow to the brain, anxiety, and depression. Right? Right. So if anyone wants to speak to me on a deeper level and want to actually get some alternatives and to actually get supplementation to improve their overall mental health or to improve their nutrition basis, feel free to message me at 782-9650. 782-9650. Now, before I leave, I just want to touch on one thing. All these things will not be possible without God's power. God's power is the most essential thing for healing your mind. Think of it like this. When your mental health is struggling, like anxiety or sadness, those issues feel too big or too heavy for you to handle and to carry. Especially sometimes you're feeling neck pain, you have stress, You don't know where things gonna come into fruition, when they're gonna come into play. My advice to you and my advice to everyone here today, before I leave, and I give you these four keys with regards to nutrition, gut-to-brain access, fitness, frequencies, and the last one, which is the fifth but not final one, is God's power, right? So put everything in God's name. Basically, he's a super strong anchor and can actually help you with any one of your problems from a deeper level. So I am here due to God's power, and I am here to actually introduce you all to information and to propagate these sorts of information. But natural healing and healing does not take place without God's power. All right? So this is something that I want each one of you all here to go with home today, or you're home already, stay and actually contemplate about it and see how that would actually benefit you all in the long run. I always tell people who going through little situations with regards to mental health, how is your prayer life? You're praying, you're saying things on by yourself, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing from a humble, holy level. Because remember, to pray, you must also be humble, you must also be obedient, and you must understand that God's love is not only for me or for Miss Simone, it's for everybody. Everybody. It encompasses everyone, all right? So put your worries and put your struggles on his strength, and you would see definitely on how it would actually improve not only your mental health, not only your spiritual life, but your overall life. All right. All right. So Simone and everyone, fellow audience, that is all I have to share with you all today. If you all have any questions before I leave, feel free to ask me.
Right, ladies, now it's time for questions. So I'll give you 5 minutes. Go ahead, Michelle. Michelle, do you have a question?
No, miss.
Oh, okay. All right. Anastasia, Cheryl, any questions?
I have a question.
Right.
In terms of further contacting you and seeking information, are you active on any social media platform where you share info in a general scale?
Yes. So I have a company known as Sapien Nature. It's on Facebook and it's also on TikTok. What we focus on at Sapien Nature, myself and other persons, we focus on natural alternatives and techniques with regards to improving one's not only mental health but overall health. So we focus not only on improving your mental health, but obesity, weight, skin, nails, as I said, viruses, depression, anxiety, arthritis, autoimmune conditions like lupus, Lynch planus, and the list goes on. Everything in particular, anything that is caused by inflammation, we see about.
Thanks for that.
Great. So thank you, everyone. And Enrique, I can't thank you enough. This information is priceless, I'm telling you, for these young persons to know, at an early age so that they can, tailor their life for success, their diet, their environment, exercise, etc. They know how important these things are to their success and their mental health. Right? Without good mental health, you cannot enjoy a happy and healthy life. Right? So please take all of this information into consideration. I know that it would take some adjustment, lifestyle changes, etc., but you're doing it for yourself and you are worth it. You're not doing it for anyone else. You're doing it for yourself, first of all, and it will positively impact the persons around you, your family, and your generations to come by making these decisions now. Right? Don't wait till you become a parent or anything like that to make the decisions. Do them now so that when you become a parent, you can impact your family positively. I can't tell you how much Enrique's support has meant to me, in recovering his information, knowing that he's there, I could always message, get good advice and that encouragement. It really made a great difference in my healing. And as he said, you have to trust God for your healing because God is the only one who can heal. So you do what you can do and let God do the rest, right? So if you need supplementation, you need, any, nutritional, stuff, definitely, I'm telling you, get a consultation with Enrique and move forward. You can never get all the information within 1 hour session. I can tell you that for sure. It's so much information. With regards to your health, you're always learning. Take the initiative to learn, to seek information and advice for yourself, and don't rely on, conventional doctors to just tell you, well, you have a condition, take this tablet, take this injection. You have to seek your own, health and learn, right? And explore whatever possibilities there are for your healing, okay? So I just want to thank everyone again. I thank all our sponsors, Trust Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago. I thank Bouncy Mania for collaborating with us. It was a wonderful experience. I must say, I did enjoy Bouncy Mania very much, and I look forward to when they come back in December. And I say thanks again to our sponsor in St. Lucia, Tranquility Getaway Resort in Mont Fortune Castries. I thank each and every one of you. I see a couple of hands before we go. I thank my partners all over in the US, in Africa, in the Caribbean for their support as well. And our directors, Cheryl and Ricardo Michel. We just have to take a couple questions, Marjorie, and there was another hand. Go ahead.
Miss, may I know how often you should detox after you eat all the junk food?
Right. So that is a perfect question. I love that question because that's a question that I'm faced with on our weekly basis. Now, a detox should be done every other month. Every other month, right? Every other month.
Right. So every 2 months we're doing a detox.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. So as I said, further consultation you can do, in order to discover when exactly to do the detox because it may vary from person to person and what exactly to use and stuff like that. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. And Marjorie?
Thank you for that, Simone. Thank you for that presentation. My question for you is this: how do you build capacity? You do what you do, and it's so key and important. How do we grow that community of persons to make, that will be able to make themselves available, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but the larger Caribbean basin, and of course for others who are outside of there. We need what you have, and we're at a critical point right now, and I'm very, very curious how we replicate what you do so that many, 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 many more can benefit from what you have to offer and others like you.
Right.
Great question.
Right.
So
Marjorie, that is very, very good, a very good question. And honestly speaking, natural health, it does get a little bit of whipping where that is concerned. I don't know if we can go back to persons like Dr. Sabi, like Dick Gregory, like various other persons who would have put their all and all their passion into natural health. And what we would obviously see is that the big pharma and the pharmaceutical system of the governing bodies and society, they don't like when persons become educated and they actually start to deal with their health on a natural level. So that has caused a little bit of a rift. All right. And I've worked with other naturopaths before, several naturopaths from Trinidad and Tobago actually. And what I could tell you is that they have faced court issues for regards to customs, selling out products, all these things. Reason being is because certain percentages of and denominations of society cannot benefit from natural healing. They only could benefit from big pharma. And it goes to the same with regards to like food choices and the kind of foods and the additives to put inside of it and all these sort of things. That's why you see healthy food is naturally a little more expensive than if you was to buy Coca-Cola and cheese sticks and them kind of thing, which will probably not be that much, right?
So I think that this is a great start. I know there will be always a resistance when it comes to naturopathic medicine, but I think
Yes, especially Simone. Now we know that Trinidad, we strong with natural medicine because this is our roots. But as I said, the governing bodies and persons in society at a higher level, I won't get too much into the politics because that was the first thing I said before I started. They don't really push that agenda, I would say. They wouldn't push that agenda for a person like myself or other naturopaths who do live dry blood analysis, right? So
Yes.
a doctor would not send you to do a live dry blood analysis. They would actually send you to do an ultrasound, go send you to do a CBC, a kidney function test, a HbA1c. They will send you to do other tests. But what I do naturally shows you how your body is doing from a cellular level. So I don't only do the testing, but also do other aspects like focusing on the eye health. I also focus on what is known as MRA scanning, which is magnetic resonance analysis, which picks up frequency from the cerebrovascular, which is the circulation at your brain, right down to your toe. So you look at all these things from a very, very scientific level, right? A very natural perspective. And as I said, we have had doctors. Because I am in the field of traditional medicine and I am a trained phlebotomist too, and I have worked at the hospital before. What I would have noticed is that when you push natural health on individuals, you get a lot of side eyes. You may get a lot of funny looks. It may also actually cost you your job. It may cost you your social interaction because persons now think negatively of that situation, especially from that arena, you know. So that's basically the little hindrance that we have. Now, personally speaking, I will give you an example with regards to myself. I have what is known as cataract homeopathic eye drops. And some of these ingredients to make these eye drops, they come from outside. They may come from Germany, they may come from Armenia, they may come from South Africa, they may come from several parts within the world. Now, when they reach into customs and they have particular claims and they come from a specific part of the world that is not really FDA approved and tested, then it's problems to actually bring it in. And FDA don't really want to approve products or situations that does help or give people proper health. So that's why you see things on Amazon and you see things selling in pharmacies and whatnot. It's good supplementation you're getting, you know, but it's not the most bioavailable supplementation that you will be having. So what I am doing currently right now is giving persons bioavailability. So instead of going by Jameson's and getting zinc, I will show you another alternative where you can get all these minerals naturally within your body and feel much better with no other bad feelings, you know?
Great. Thanks so much for that, Enrique. And the thing is, we have to keep pushing and working towards spreading the word because, as Marjorie clearly said, there's a need, you know, for this. So not only maybe here in Trinidad, and we have a starting point, which is the internet. So like what we're doing on Zoom now, persons all over. Imagine we have persons from Africa here, you know, all over can benefit from this information. So we have to start online and then eventually, you know, what we can do online, we do online, information, whatever consultations, etc. And then I'm guessing, you know, in the near future, be able to set up physical locations elsewhere, you know, and train persons and get things going. It is my dream to have,
training persons to actually do what I am doing is something that is in the formidable future because it's very important that this knowledge isn't only gatekeeped by myself, but a lot of other individuals can, benefit and move forward from it.
Yes, so that definitely is a project for the near future. So we'll be working on getting things out via the internet for now, and then establishing, various centers. Obviously Trinidad, it's already started, but throughout the various Caribbean islands. So if we have persons in the various islands, for example, who want a partner, Marjorie has roots in Antigua, so there's a possibility we could look at doing something there, collaborating with persons or getting persons trained, etc. And we can move to the different, islands that have interests. Yeah,
Correct,
so that's
correct.
something. Yeah. So I think we've planted a seed there today, Marjorie. I think you planted a seed. So yeah.
You
So
understand? You see how it goes?
No, seriously. I think, Marjorie, you planted a lot of seeds today because this being one, opening up this type of, health practice to persons elsewhere in the Caribbean and abroad, and also the discussion going further about the implications of our behavior, as parents and our children, and the stages of growth and development and how we impact that. So that is definitely something that we will work on for the near future, having further talks. Yeah. Yes, I really thank everyone for joining.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, we feel free to leave at any point in time. For those who, want to stay back and have further discussions or ask questions, we can have a little chat again for another few minutes. But Aralia will play our closing song as we leave. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and your weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
All right,
Enrique.
I wish everyone a successful and a happy weekend. And please keep cautious and safe on these roads. You're seeing a lot of accidents happening.
Yes. It's been very prevalent. I'm not sure, almost every day it's something,